Yo, yo, yo. It's been a while. Ignore the sleepy face. Just woke up from a nap. And boy, was it a good one. So, wanted to go over how this prep went. Kind of prep overview style. Start to finish. Go through a bunch of check-in pictures. Kind of go through the process of and how I managed to outgrow my classic physique weight cap by 20 pounds, which is exaggerated because it was only 18. So, I'm a liar. Clickbait, shameful, I know, but boys gotta do what your boys gotta do to get views. 20 pounds sounds a lot better than 18, let me tell you. So without further ado, let's get this thing started. Prep highlights. Got some notes here on my computer because I'm very prepared. If you know me, then you know I'm never prepared for fucking anything. So, but I have just a couple of random notes here just so that I wasn't a total mess with this video. As well as some pictures I'll be throwing up, maybe like over here. Yeah, I'll stay over here and I'll put pictures up over here so you can still see my pretty face. Prep highlights. Started prep not in prep, right? Set myself up really well in the off season, stayed lean, put on a lot of weight, clean weight, and drove food stupid high, like really high, so that we had a lot to pull from when we did start to cut. So pre-prep phase started in November, at the very end of November, November 30th, so basically December, and I was at 229.7. And the goal of this pre-prep phase was just to kind of start filling out, get the appetite going, just getting everything ramped up, right? Putting some drugs in, getting things started. About 4 weeks later-ish, December 24th, started the cut. I managed to put on like 4 or 5 pounds. I was about 233-ish at the start of the cut. 236 was my highest, but that was a false high because I chugged a ton of water right before I woke up, like in the middle of the night. So yeah, 233 is about where we started to really start to draw down from. Yeah, that was about 18 weeks out from Emerald Cup. And that's also like when we pulled cheat meals. Like it was just right after New Year's. So there was no more cheat meals after that. Things got pretty scarce. And yeah, about 233. So 4 weeks later, I was 4 weeks later, significantly leaner, 225. Not significantly, but definitely leaner at 225. And yeah, starting to come down. Weight's coming off. Training is really good. I don't want to emphasize training throughout this video. That training stayed really good this entire time. Maybe it's because my coach had me well fed at certain points. Maybe it's a mindset. I don't know. But I managed to keep my strength throughout the entire prep, and that is honestly what I attribute to me going from basically 233 to 220 on stage in a prep, and having a significant body comp difference. Stupid. So added in some clean around January 21st is when we really started to ramp things up. Cardio was getting a little bit higher, and that was about 14 weeks out. At 12 weeks out, started swapping some compounds, added in the cutters, if you will. Just took out NPP, added Tren, added some Mast, dropped the EQ. Yeah, and this is about 224.8. So this is right around when I'm starting to question if I'm going to be able to make weight because I'm like kind of lean. And I was like, it's going to be tough to get down 225 right now. It's going to be tough to get down to 202, which is my weight cap for classic physique because I'm just under 5'10" when I weigh in. And that would put me at 202 if you look at the NPC rules. So starting to doubt that this was going to happen and knew it was going to have to sacrifice some muscle if I wanted to make it happen. I wanted to do a national show this year as a classic physique competitor and try and get my pro card. But 11 weeks out, up the cardio, 30 minutes of level 7 on the stairs, plus 15 minutes of incline treadmill. So that's 45 minutes total. I did that fasted. We did that for like 2 weeks, and that was plenty. Yeah, and around 10 weeks out, pulled the plug on Classic at 220. It was like, dude, Chris was like, we don't have 18 pounds to come off this, you know. So decided it was only open bodybuilding. So 9 weeks out from Emerald Cup, I have a pretty good check-in. I'm pretty lean. And Chris is like, is there, my coach, Chris, he asked if there was any shows sooner. So I was thought about it. Like, yeah, there's this like Vancouver show. Don't really have to drive far. It's pretty local. Don't have to travel. Peak from my house. Pretty ideal, really. So hopped into that one, and that was about 4 weeks out. Less than 5 weeks out is what I have noted. Less than 5 weeks out. Hopped into Vancouver because I decided, hey, we're lean enough. So started the orals for those. Got cardio reduced down to 20 minutes plus 25 minutes. Apparently, I don't remember that, but that's what I have noted. Yeah, 3.5 weeks out, 217.8. Feeling pretty lean, but I was thinking like I still had like 10 pounds to go in my head because it's just the kind of headspace I get in when I'm in prep. I just see fat. Nonetheless. Yeah, this is 217.8. I'm figuring I'll be 207 or somewhere like that. I just need to, that's where I thought I would be. And I'm thinking I'm just going to be a fat fuck on stage. So 1 week out from Vancouver right here, this is my lowest. It was 212.4. So dropped from 217.8 to 212.4 within those 2.5 weeks. The 212.4 I have noted as a post sauna. And I remember specifically, Chris was like, I want to be under 214. Because I was consistently like 214.5, 214 point something, He said, well, let's get one day under 214 and we'll call it good. And I was like, okay, I'll make that happen. I'm going to go sit in the sauna. So I just dried the fuck out and woke up like 212.4. That was also on a low day with cardio high. So like just really center home there. And yeah, 212.4. So started carbing up for Vancouver the Wednesday before. Lower carb on Wednesday, medium, high carbs really, but there was lower amount of carbs on Wednesday, medium-ish amount on Thursday, and then like high on Friday, which is just the series of just went low, medium, high. Make it simple. And yeah, really, really filled out. So, when I was the few days post the lowest weigh-in, I was back up to like the 214s where I was weighing in, which was good. So we loaded up on good amount of saturated fats, a lot of butter and a lot of rice, and ended up about 217 the day of Vancouver. Loved my look there. Really brought it. I was super confident on stage. Felt great. It wasn't a super competitive show. I was the only heavyweight, which was kind of crappy, but won the overall, so that's good. Felt good about that. But more so felt good about the way I looked. I was like, holy crap, like I'm actually kind of big. Like, what the fuck? That brings us to 5 weeks out after that show. That brings us to 5 weeks out from Emerald Cup, the original show that I started prep for. So checked in at 215, a few days post Vancouver. I didn't really have a rebound effect. Didn't hold any weight. I had a free meal after the Vancouver show, and then was back on plan the next day, basically. Checked in at 215, a few days after Vancouver, and that's, eating about 300 to 350 grams of carbs a day, I have noted. And then since I was down in weight from the day of the show, we bumped food up to about 500 grams of carbs with some added fats in there. So that held me around 219 for a few weeks until I was riding into Emerald Cup. So yeah, I'll throw some of those check-ins up here about 2 weeks out from Emerald Cup. But yeah, those 4 weeks, those 2 weeks in between were really, really, really good. Like I was filling out, training was really, really good. Pumps were amazing. And I just felt like I could take my clothes off anytime and like look awesome. Like it was a good headspace to be in. And I had good feedback from the judges. Everything felt really good. And I was really happy. So pulled food back a little bit just so we could make sure that I sponged up properly for carbing up when it was time to carb up. So did a mock carb up before the show, got an idea of how much I'm going to need to eat, and yeah, loaded hard the Wednesday before the show. I was about 216.8 that morning. Loaded Thursday harder, lot of butter, lot of rice, lot of cream of rice, lot of almond butter, very little protein, just tons of food. And then woke up full as fuck on Friday. I had a photo shoot morning, and I'll put some pictures in. I'm pale as fuck. This is before I got tan, and I'm full. Like I'm almost spilled, not quite, but I'm almost spilled because we didn't really have to pull water too much. So I just have that kind of physique that needs that water to actually be full. But yeah, so then loved the look on Friday morning. Full, just needed to dry out. So we pulled food back a little bit on Friday and pulled water back and hit a quarter diazide and fucking woke up fucking peaked. Like couldn't have asked to look any better for myself. Yeah. So brought it to Emerald Cup. Really stoked with the look. Placed second in my class. Super bummed about that. But Dude Beat Me looked phenomenal, and it was a really, really competitive class. There was like 12 guys, and to take second out of like a big group like that at a big competitive show, nothing to be too upset about. And plus, I just really liked the way I looked, and got some really good, feedback from people, really good feedback from the judges, which mostly came down to like posing. I'm a little shaky in my posing, my stage presentation. You could use some work because I haven't been on stage a lot. So practice makes perfect. Just got to keep getting up there and keep doing what I do. The look is there, the proportions are there, the conditioning's certainly there. That's never been an issue for me. And I think me and Chris got a really good formula to really bring something special in next time I diet down. So yeah, pretty stoked about the prep. Just want to emphasize how important it is to maintain your strength in a prep. It is a mindset thing. You cannot give an inch when it comes to your performance in the gym during prep. You really can't. I think if you're continuing to make progress in the gym, you're getting stronger, progression in reps, weight, whatever, throughout your prep as you're getting leaner. There's an argument if you're having like high days and you're properly fed and you're not just straight having to suffer, which a lot of people do. But if you're fortunate enough to get a good amount of high days in your prep, like I was able to do, I think you can grow. And so after a few meals, I was about 220 on stage. So going from 233 to 220 shredded, I argue I'd have to have grown a little bit, right? I don't know. Maybe I'm just full of myself. I've been told that before. But yeah, training performance is the thing that I would say. Training performance and proper nutrient partitioning is how I was able to really grow out of classic physique in a spot where I really didn't think I would. So I asked for a few questions from you guys, so I'll pull those up. Had a few good ones. Okay, so favorite meal and what got you through the toughest parts of prep? My favorite meal for sure was my post-workout meal, which would be cream of rice, whey with blueberries or various fruit of choice, 15 grams of carbs worth to be specific. But yeah, cream of rice, whey, and fruit and peanut butter was my fucking dessert. I looked forward to that meal every day. And what got me through the toughest parts of prep, just knowing that I'm doing what I need to do, I don't look at it as I'm having to suffer to do this. I look at it as a fucking privilege, honestly, because it is. If you were to look around the world and think you get to eat 6 meals worth of protein a day, right? Not a lot of people in the world as a global thing get to do that. So it really is a privilege to bodybuild, and you're not starving in a contest prep. Starving is not having food available to eat. So don't use that word. Yeah, just knowing that I'm doing what I need to do. That's what got me through this, the harder parts for sure. Knowing that I'm taking it on myself and that this is a choice just makes it a little easier. No one's making you do it, so except for yourself. So that makes it a little easier in my head anyway. Timeline of when I think I'll turn pro. I'm going to give it a shot here in 2026 at Nationals. So that'd be December in 2026. I think anyway, that's kind of the tentative plan. There's nothing in cement right now. I just need to fill out my weight gap in heavyweights and be waking up the day of the show at like 225, which is only, it's only 7-ish pounds. I can do that, certainly. Proven to myself that I can do that, and I have more belief in myself at this point than I ever have because of this prep. So that's really cool. Not that I ever really doubted myself, but I think I just unlocked a little level of confidence that I didn't have, and a little level of belief in myself that I didn't have before. I was a bit insecure as a bodybuilder. Felt like a poser for a long time. So 220 with shredded glutes and not being super tall, it's not bad. Okay, next question. Weak point that you want to bring up for the next show? Well, I'm not very clavicularly wide, so I need to get wider shoulders, as wide as I can, and just try and broaden my physique as well as just be denser, because that's like gonna have to be one of my things to combat being a little more narrow, right? So what that means is arms. I'm white. I need bigger arms. We all do. Lats from the front, so I present bigger, and obviously delts, bigger cap delts, so I can really, present. Obviously quads too. So from the front, it's just like freaky. I don't have a super wide waist, but I have big obliques. So if I'm not hitting a vacuum or really pulling in, I can look a bit tubular or very tubular. Next question. What did you learn the most about this prep, and what's your plan to improve before next show? I learned that I'm capable of looking good on stage. Didn't think that was possible. And I learned a lot about my metabolism and the type of prepping I need to do. My first 2 preps were basically like start here, end down here, and like hope you look good. And this one was a lot more calculated. So shout out to Chris for that. And what's my plan to improve before next show? I'm going to keep doing exactly what I've been doing. I haven't changed my training split or volume in a year and a half because I've seen results from them monthly, right? So if it ain't broke, don't fix it. I'm not looking for the next shiny thing to get me bigger and better. I'm just going to keep doing the things that I know worked for me. And those things are using heavy weight with controlled contractions in a bodybuilding rep range, and then trying to do it again next week for more or heavier. And that just seems to work for me. I don't think I need to change much. I would like to eventually add maybe a second leg day for fun, just because, I don't know, for fun, really, because I enjoy training legs. But really, that's it. That's it. Next question, and I knew this question would come. I just didn't think it would come from the person it came from. I want the drug regimen respectfully. That is very respectful. It's 2 grams of Trenzempic a week. No, pretty reasonable, very reasonable dosages, all prep. The majority of the prep was to basics. It was test, mast, and tren. And then for orals, had Winnie, Proviron, and then a little bit of Anavar there at the end. So pretty chill. Didn't have to use any T3, which is cool. This prep did not need T3 for sure. Just utilized a little bit of Clen, 40 mics to start, and then upped it to 60 for a little bit. We were really starting to push, thinking we were going to have to get down to classic, and then pulled that back even eventually pretty early too. Then pulled it out completely like pretty early too. So the drugs were very reasonable this prep. They should be, right? As they should be. So yeah, that is how contest prep went. That's how I went from a shitty mid classic physique competitor with a stringy physique to a shitty mid NPC heavyweight bodybuilder. Amazing. Thanks for tuning in. If you're still watching, I would be shocked. But I figured I would make this just because I've had some questions, and it's just kind of fun to talk about now that it's all over and to go over. So yeah, hope you guys enjoyed.